Hello, this is Patrick Barnard in Montreal. It is August 2nd, 2024. This is a short comment on literature, on my summer reading, our summer reading for this year, 2024. And the figure that I'm beginning with is Rainer Maria Rilke. Here you can see a number of books of translations of his poetry holding in my hand. Now, I am interested in one poem, which I'm going to read to you, which comes from something called Das Buch der Bilder. You could translate that as the Book of Pictures, the Book of Images. It was published more than 100 years ago, and Rilke remains, I believe, a very, very important figure. In fact, you will find many people, many literary people, I suppose, who will say that Rilke changed their lives. There's a very good introduction to Rilke by a woman on YouTube, a young woman who is from Toronto. She's called Emmie, E-M-M-I-E is the name of her website. She gets lots of listeners, and her introduction to Rilke is really excellent. Rilke changed her life, she says. So I'm going to try to give you an idea very briefly of why Rilke is so important. He was born in Prague in 1875, which would make him, I suppose, an Austrian, but he lived all over Europe, and he lived a wandering kind of existence. At one point, for example, Paris was very important to him, and he was the secretary to Auguste Rodin, the sculptor. Rilke also had relationships with women, very extraordinary women, throughout his life. But there was always this question of distance as well as attachment. A lonely man, a brilliant man, and his poems remain, I believe, extremely important. So I'm going to read a short poem from Das Buch der Bilder. That was published, a collection that was published more than 100 years ago. You could translate that as the Book of Pictures, the Book of Images. I'm going to be using a translation by the American translator and poet C.F. McIntyre. And the poem that I am going to use to illustrate Rilke's power as an artist is a very short one. McIntyre translates the title as Initiation. In German, the title of the poem is Eingang. That can mean introduction, threshold, door. McIntyre uses the word initiation. I don't think it's quite accurate. I would be tempted to use something like threshold. This poem is all about how perception is basically a deeply poetic act. So here's the translation. The poem, by the way, is organized into 3 sections of 4 lines. They're all joined together, but they climax in the crucial line in the poem, which is, "And you have made the world." Clear my throat. Here we go. Initiation. Whoever you are, go out into the evening, leaving your room, of which you know every bit. Your house is the last before the infinite, whoever you are. Then, with your eyes that wearily scarce lift themselves from the worn-out doorstone, slowly you raise a shadowy black tree and fix it on the sky, slender, alone. And you have made the world, and it shall grow and ripen as a word unspoken still. When you have grasped its meaning with your will, then tenderly your eyes will let it go. Now in German, that crucial line, crucial sentence is, "Und hast die Welt gemacht," and you have made the world. What Rilke is getting at here is that perception is poetry, and poetry is perception. You see a tree, you place it against the background of the sky. It is there before you as you watch it, and then your eyes let that world, that microcosm, that form of the tree disappear. So that is Rilke for me. I love his poetry. I read this poem to myself in German and felt, probably wrongly, that I understood its brilliant totality. And you have made the world.